Hello my artist friends, welcome to my art channel Doodle Magics. So today I'm going to show you guys the principles of rendering so that you can render anything like a pro. With these simple steps you can render literally anything, like anything, almost. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate that. And ring the bell icon so that we can see each other pretty often. So let's start the video. So before we dive into the rendering, let me show you the basic things about rendering. So ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you the sphere. Okay, you don't have to remember all these complicated names like you're studying a book or something. You just have to understand the concept. And I'm here to make things easier for you, so don't worry my dear. Let me break this down for you. So just imagine, this is a skin in the shape of a sphere. I mean, it's practically impossible, but that's why I say imagine. Here we can see that there is a lighting situation going on and the light source is coming from the right side above the sphere. So naturally, it's going to create a shadow on the opposite side of the light. So since we already have our base color, just color pick your base color and move the hue a little bit to the reddish side and choose your shadow color and just draw the shadow as you can see in the reference photo. Here's the important part. When you're choosing your shadow color, moving the hue to the cooler side is really important. Unless you want to end up with a muddy shading. It adds more color and more interest in your art. And it would be great if you just follow along with me. It would be a lot easier for you to understand. So this shadow is known as core shadow, but we're going to call this just shadow. And since it's a sphere and it has soft edges, we have to smudge the edges of the shadows just like this. And if you're following along with me, then make sure that you're taking your time and you're understanding the concept. There is no need to rush. And since the lighting is hitting the ball, I mean the sphere, it's going to create a hard shadow on the ground as well. Usually this shadow is the darkest shadow. So the same process again, just color pick the background color, move the hue and choose a shadow color, and that's it. Now this shadow is called cast shadow, but we're going to call it the darkest shadow. So now it's time for the light. So color pick the base color, move the hue to the yellowish side now, just a little bit, and choose a brighter color. And again, smudge the edges because it has soft edges. Now it's time for the mid-tone, which is in between the shadow color and the base color. So simply color pick the shadow color and choose a lighter and saturated color than the shadow color. But at the same time, it should be darker than the base color. Now simply just glaze that color on the edge of the shadow color and blend this out. Now you may ask why we're doing this. We're using this color as a transition color while the shadow color is transitioning into this lighter color. It creates more depth and interest to the rendering. And as you can see, it's already starting to look 3D, but wait, there are more steps. Next is reflected light. When an object is living in an environment, the object is always going to reflect the colors of the environment. For example, in this case, the light is not only hitting the ball, I mean the sphere, it's also hitting the ground and it's reflecting on the back of the sphere like this. So choose a saturated blue color and just glaze on the back of the ball like this. Now it's time for the highlight. So color pick the lighter color and choose a highlight color. And just highlight the top of the ball, I mean the sphere, like this. So if you have followed along with me through the whole time, you should have a beautiful looking sphere which looks like skin. Okay, now let's repeat all the steps again. First base color, then shadow, darkest shadow, light, mid-tone, reflected color, and highlight. You can take a screenshot of this if you want, or I will just post all these informations in my other social media so that you will never lose these informations. So make sure you're following me in my other social medias, and all the links will be in the description. Now, what if I tell you that you can render almost anything with these simple steps? You don't believe me? Let me show you. So here's the twist. Few days ago, I have asked you guys to name anything random and I will render that for you. So let's see some of your suggestions. Only 3 people commented, by the way. DJ Pasta Yai said, any sort of clothing, as you wish. That is so simple. You guys are so freaking kind. So I have already done the basic sketch first, and here is my reference photo. So first we need our base color, and now it's time for just shadow. While I'm drawing the shadow, I'm thinking about the big shapes. And here's a tip for you. If you're struggling with drawing the shadow, squint your eyes real hard and you're going to see all the big shapes. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Once you're done with the shadow, you have to soften the edges of the shadow where it's needed. See? That's why you always need a reference photo, because we're just humans. We can't always tell where is going to be the hard edge and where is going to be all the soft edges. We need real life reference for that. Now it's time for the mid-tone. Again, we're working from big shapes to smaller shapes. And don't forget to blend the edges where it's needed. Next, light. The same process again. Color pick the base color, move the hue to the warm side and choose a lighter color. Draw the shapes and blend the edges. And remember, if you're struggling to find the shapes, don't forget to squint your eyes. Now it's time for the darkest shadow. And it's the same process, draw the shapes and blend where it's needed. Notice how the darkest shadow has created more depth to the rendering. Now it's time for the reflected light. Reflected up. Notice how there is a reflected light in the shadow part of the hoodie. Yup, we have to add that. So I chose a lighter and saturated green color and just glazing that in the shadow part where it's needed. And of course, don't forget to follow your reference. Do you see the difference? Now it's time for highlight. The same process again. Draw the shapes and blend. Another thing, having hard edges and soft edges also depends on what kind of subject you're rendering as well. Because different types of object have different types of texture. Again, that's why we always need a reference photo for that. And it's done. Yash1CRM2M said, Neko girl. Well, to be really honest, I don't know what Neko girl is. Let me search. Well, I'm confused. I guess she's an anime character and I don't know that much about anime. I'm so sorry. So pass. Kiwi Fruit Edit said, a hand with beautiful nails and maybe with a ring or something. Good choice, but so we already have our sketch. Then I added a background color, then the base color. Now it's time for just shadow. And if you're struggling, don't forget to squint your eyes. Remember, we're working from big shapes to smaller shapes and blend the edges where it's needed. Now I'm adding light and I'm following the same steps, then mid-tone. And while you're choosing your mid-tone color, make sure it's a bit saturated. It is totally a stylistic choice, but I love to do it because it adds more color and more interest to the rendering. Now it's time for darkest shadow. For reflected light, I chose a orangish and saturated color. Actually, it depends on the reference photo again, and also on the lighting situation. Then highlight, and it's all done. Oh, how can I forget about the ring? Now it's done. So now that you have all these informations, the main question is, are you going to be able to create a masterpiece the next time you pick up your pen? Probably not. But yup, with consistent practice, you will be able to see a drastic change in your art if you follow these steps. But don't forget the part, it's not an overnight process. And congratulations, you have come to the really end of this video. So if you have found this video helpful and you have learned a thing or two from this video, please feel free to share this video with your other artist friends so that we can learn and grow together. Also, I hope you guys are having a blast starting off this year, but not me because all my social media accounts got hacked at the starting of this year and I accidentally deleted all my important files permanently. So yay! Anyways, have a great day and bye!